The man slapped his female colleague's butt, but she didn't get angry. Instead, she gave him a look that suggested she wanted more. Just as Nick was feeling pretty pleased with himself, his boss witnessed the whole thing and didn't hesitate to force him to stay and work overtime as punishment for his inappropriate behavior. Nick had just finished his work and was getting ready to head home when he was stunned by what he saw. His manager had been shot dead by a killer. Terrified, Nick bolted. But while the killer was dealing with the body, he ran back to his desk and grabbed his phone to call 911, only to find it was dead. Hearing the killer's footsteps, Nick immediately hid in the bathroom. Luckily, someone was in one of the stalls, so he rushed over to push the man out, only to discover the killer had already murdered him. Even worse, the killer heard the toilet flush and entered the bathroom too. Nick quickly braced himself against the walls for support. Seeing the killer was about to search his stall, he quickly crawled under to the other side. Worried his feet might be spotted on the floor, he slowly stood on the toilet but accidentally triggered the automatic flush sensor. Fortunately, the killer also accidentally set off a flush sensor, and Nick managed to avoid detection until the killer left. Nick hurried to find somewhere to hide, but there seemed to be nowhere safe. Then he remembered his phone was charging. Nick looked around anxiously, waiting. Just then, the killer spotted Nick's clothes sticking out from under a door crack. He realized someone else was still alive. Hearing the commotion, Nick ran toward the storage room. Suddenly, the killer looked in the direction of the storage area. Nick was terrified and hid, but bumped into a corpse. He nearly screamed but managed to hold it in. The cautious killer decided to check the storage room. With nowhere to run, Nick was trapped when the killer's search was interrupted by a ringtone. Nick's phone had automatically turned back on. While the killer went to check the phone, Nick bolted from the storage room. After seeing the phone, the killer was certain someone was still hiding in the building. He then issued a threat, telling him he would definitely find him. The killer began searching everywhere. Nick ran into an office and tried to set off the smoke alarm, but after waiting a long time, got no response. With no other choice, Nick set a fire to get the attention of people in the building across the street. Fortunately, this strategy worked. Nick frantically signaled to people in the opposite building to call the police. After doing this, he left the office only to run straight into the killer. However, the killer no longer had time to kill him. He had to quickly put out the fire to prevent the people across the street from calling the police. While the killer was fighting the fire, Nick reactivated his own access card and reset all the other access cards, trapping the killer in the building. The killer thought he was the hunter, but now Nick held the advantage. He was about to become Nick's prey.